I put out a video. Obviously, not even that great of a video, to be honest. We were kind of disappointed. You still haven't made my square thumbnail for the community tab. You guys should all go watch this video. Put out a video, and our very own Sergio, who handles my Instagram, shout out Sergio. You know who you are, watching at home right now, more than likely. Sergio decided to chop it up for Instagram. The video was about John Legend conflating the tragic miscarriage his wife had with a baby deletion. And that was his argument for why baby deletion should be accessible as an elective procedure and a part of the birth control agenda.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a birth control agenda, but the sexual revolution agenda, all that nonsense. So we put the video out. Video, honestly, it's kind of a flopper for us on the main channel. Very disappointed by it. I thought it was a great video.
But it's moving the needle for the kingdom.
But it's moving the needle for the kingdom. And Sergio very quickly decided to do what? What did Sergio do?
Sergio clipped up a spicy moment, which not a typical thing we do because spicy moments don't do well in short form. But he's like, I'm going to clip it up, make an amazing short form video, and post it on Instagram.
And we got it on Instagram today.
Yep.
And the myth,
the legend,
the R&B legend had the time in his day to doom scroll through Instagram, see my video, and attempt to go back and forth with me in the comments section. Now, for the record, have no conflation about the situation. John Legend is a legend in his own right as a musical artist. He's kind of went off the rails lately.
Yeah.
But he got his foundation in the church. As a choir director, I believe, in the, I want to say the DC area. He sounded good music, put out that first album, classic album, Chef's Kiss, amazing record, huge fan of it, and was initially kind of almost packaged like a Christian musician, gospel musician. And, since he's kind of really went to the deep end of the goofiness on the left, unfortunately, and decided that he would have an argument with me on Instagram. Now, John, if you're watching this, I would love to have a conversation with you.
Yes.
I don't want to have a contentious conversation with you. You can call him whenever you want. I'm not a guy that like wants to do own the libs conversations, but I will love to just have a human to human conversation with you if that's something you're open to. I don't think he's really open to that, but let's look at the video. Can you zoom in so we don't see his comment, and then we'll go to his comment. And so let's just play the video and you get my reaction here. Go ahead.
She was well past 15 weeks when she had to have an abortion. She was miscarrying and
oh my gosh, dude.
John, Shannon Sharp, you know that the pro-life position is about elective abortions. Your baby was tragically dying. Your wife was miscarrying. She needed a surgical procedure called a DNC to take the tragedy of a dead baby inside of her out. This is what they've been doing. The documented technical label of it is some sort of abort. It says abort in the procedure. So they take whatever medical definition of how they got to categorize the paperwork and they go, see, we women need this. But we all know that that is not what we're fighting against.
Oh, yeah.
We all know that is not who we're saying should be protected. So this is a
reasonable.
I thought it was a very reasonable take. Okay, first of all, like you're John Legend. Please don't ever let me become this guy, Zach. If I become as culturally significant as John Legend, to then hop in a comment section,
Like, stupid.
This is John Legend. Decides to respond and let's just go over it. I don't want to insult this man. The pro-life position is that the government should be involved in the most intimate decisions any woman could make. Okay. So out of the rip, we're just starting with a straw man. We're in straw man city.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's
like, oh, dude, I'm really hoping that we can be involved in the most intimate decision a woman can make.
We really care about what's going on.
That's
in your
on the
bedroom.
legislation. Yeah,
that's on the legislation. We really want to know what's going on in your bedroom.
Live action. That's their
Human Coalition.
Yeah, that's the promise on their website.
Yeah.
Like,
we want to be involved in your intimate decisions.
To be involved with your body at every step of the way.
Yes.
Live action.
Making something illegal means the government has to enforce and adjudicate these intimate decisions and procedures. The government has the power to force someone to carry for 9 months. It has the authority to adjudicate. I like that he's just using this word adjudicate over and over again.
Oh, dude. That's how you know it wasn't AI.
It could have been, though. He could have been like, write me a response to this
with
video.
at least one adjudicate.
No, it's not AI. This is really him. The government has the power to adjudicate. It has the authority to adjudicate whether or not a woman meets whatever exceptions are granted by law. So after grape or incest, rather than just having the deletion of the baby, she would also have to prove that this occurred so that she and her doctors don't get arrested. If her doctor thinks she needs a procedure to save her life, they still have to feel super confident that the government will agree with their assessment that the woman is sufficiently on death's door before they try to help her. Okay, so first he goes to the typical like pro-choice speaking point, which is like grape and incest. We weren't talking about grape and incest. We were talking specifically.
We're talking about his scenario.
We were talking about his scenario, which was a tragic miscarriage. It was a very tragic miscarriage, and she was fairly far along. And from I remember about them, they were grieving. Like it was like they were going through it.
What were they grieving?
The loss of a baby.
Oh, it was a baby.
It was a baby.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that right there, right? The logic falls apart on its own head. If her doctor thinks it needs a procedure to save her life, okay, it's officially on death's door before they intervene to help her. So this argument is grape and incest. They always go to that, which by the way, USA Today just put out data said less than 1% is grape and incest. Less than 1% of baby deletions is grape and incest. Okay. And then the next argument is, well, if she's on the verge of death, which again, there's never a time where a woman needs this. It's usually miscarriage, right? And any situations that are vague written laws, poorly written laws, I think anybody that's a reasonable person would say, no, that's wrong. We need to not do that. That's bad, right? Fix those laws. Does this not make sense to everyone, especially conservatives who don't trust the government in their lives in so many other realms? Well, he's right about that last part. Okay, so let's go through it.
Is he?
I mean, yes, we don't trust the government in other parts of our lives.
Yeah.
Just like you're okay with the government intervening in other parts of your bodily autonomy. You could play that game either way. You understand?
Yeah.
You could say, government, you guys are anti-establishment. I'll say, government, why would you want the government involved in your bedroom? Yeah. And we can go, you guys wanted everybody to take this goofy jab.
Yeah. But as a conservative Christian, I want the government to suppress evil. So if I believe it's then, which is the established conservative pro-life position on, then it's not the same as I don't want the government meddling in my gun rights. It's on the level of like, I want a government that suppresses evil, so I want them to not kill my neighbor next door, and I want them not to kill the baby in my wife's belly.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. When voters are presented a choice, even the reddest states like Kansas know the government should stay out of this. I challenge the pro-life side to allow referendum on this issue in all 50 states, and I bet even the deepest red will vote for freedom for woken? I don't know what that means. For women. Okay, cool. Okay, thank you for clarifying. Yeah. So, of course, the internet did what the internet did, and there was a lot of folks, even a doctor in the thread right here. As a doctor, I could tell you that dilation and curettage, which is a procedure done after a miscarriage, is not withheld at all in the case of what's called an incomplete miscarriage, where tragically the baby isn't alive anymore, but there are products left in the uterus. You're creating a straw man and arguing against something we're not even talking about. And if you're so keen on protecting human rights and bodily autonomy, why do you get to make decisions for the baby? This is shut up. Go on. Go back. Who is that? Doctor.
This guy right here.
Doctor.
And then he threw in his Christian. Was like, oh, by the way, God bless.
Doctors. Jesus doctors just doing what they do. That's incredible. Okay.
Yep.
So you got doctors correcting him.
Dr. Nishant Jonathan.
Yeah. You got doctors correcting him. Oh, shout out Nishant. Is that him? Nishant. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. One time for you. Kind of setting this brother straight. So you got a doctor in there just like casually. And so he goes on. So this is a great question. Hey, if the law allowed only victims of SA to get this procedure as any life-threatening pregnancies and all other instances were illegal, like this is what I'm saying, would you be okay with that? Do you think that would be good? Of course he's going to say, well, no, because we still got to allow it in the one time that.
Yeah.
The issue is not grape, incest, and a mother's health. That's not what the issue is. You want this as an on-demand procedure.
Yeah. It would still be tragic if there was 1% of the happening still. It would still be tragic.
Yes.
But it would be a pretty big victory if we can get 99% of reduced.
Yes. And this is where in my opinion, it's my opinion, and I don't mind. I feel like the pro-choice position is disingenuous because they would not lock arms with us and say, yes, let's highly restrict anything outside of a grape, incest, SA, mother's health.
Yes.
So then what you just be honest. And that's kind of where I got him to. Just be honest about what you really are about. Just be honest. That's not happening, John. You're conflating terms, instances of great ones and less more percent. Yeah, so people are going through correcting him. And I said, no, sir. The pro-life position is that unborn babies should be left alone to fully develop and get a shot at life. Making something illegal is the same thing we do with murder, drunk driving, and a variety of other laws that protect people and legislate what you're allowed to do with your own base type of body. So yes, the government enforces all sorts of laws. I said nothing about rape and incest in this video. I'm speaking to you specifically using the tragedy of a miscarriage to argue for the deletion of babies on demand. And you probably know that the vast amount of these are not for the mother's health, rape, or incest. Can we agree? This is the same thing. Can we agree, Mr. Pro-Choicer, that anything with regarding to it being a form of birth control is wrong? Yes or no? Of course, you're not going to answer that question. And then I made this argument repeatedly. My dude, voters have made bad decisions before. Because remember, what is the second argument? Well, if you allow it in red states, people
even voters were going to allow it because they want freedom.
They want freedom. My dude, voters have made bad decisions always. That doesn't negate whether something is moral or not. You realize it's the same logic the segregation is used to fight civil rights laws, right?
That's man cooked.
Ruslan. So this is his response to me. So again, this isn't like, sometimes you see one thing. He's probably responded again. This is great. Believing alone a fetus is by definition forcing the government's will on the woman. Or it's leaving that baby alone to develop into what it would naturally become.
Yeah.
If you want to say that the government saying we don't allow this procedure in these states is forcing, I don't see that. That word "force" is a very interesting word. It's a very, you have to be very specific word. So I don't see the government saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to allow this. Drunk driving? We're not going to allow it.
The government's forcing me not to drink and drive.
The government's forcing me to drink my beer at home. Are they?
What happened to the good old days where you could just crack a good one on the way home from work?
Are they forcing you? I guess they're technically forcing you to put on a seatbelt.
I guess so.
They're technically forcing you not to hurt another person.
Biden's like pulling the seatbelt over and clicking it in.
I dare them force me, right? But we did force people to take a vaccine just a couple years ago. You were in favor of that, Mr. John Legend. You were in favor of that, and there was, frontline workers who had already had it that almost lost their jobs. Some of them did lose their jobs. Who had natural immunity. So this is where, this is their double standards are crazy. Like it's kind of hypocritical. Okay. It's okay. You and I will never agree that the woman's right supersedes that of a fetus who wouldn't be viable outside of a woman. Now, notice he uses the word fetus. What is the definition of fetus?
Fetus is like the Latin term for baby.
John, you're so close.
So close yet so
You're
far.
so close. You're so far. Just call it a baby. That sentence reads crazy.
Yeah.
It's going to read crazy if you just actually
You will
read
never
it in the
agree
definition.
that a woman's rights supersede that of a baby who wouldn't be viable outside her womb. It's like, wait a second. Women's rights. Do you mean her ability to go back to her fluorescent cubicle sitting desk job?
Right. Hurry on back and add to the GDP, woman.
Yeah. You mean her right to go back to the job she complains, that same very job she complains of every week to her girlfriends when she's getting mimosas?
Oh, man.
Her right? Come on, man.
Okay. And I get that. Now, this is why I appreciated him. This is to give him some props. Shout out to John Legend. And I get that if you believe they have equal or more rights than that woman, then you land where you are on a.
Okay, cool.
He's right.
We agree.
I simply don't believe that.
Oh, we don't.
And don't believe the government should force that belief on the public against their will. So remember what he said. He said, if you believe that an unborn baby has the same rights as a woman, then I understand how you come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
So the question really comes down to in this conversation, it's not a super deep conversation. What is that? What is that? What is that inside of there? What is it? Is it a clump of cells? Is it the idea of what you want it to be? You get to choose what it is. Manifest it. You get to choose genders nowadays. So apparently you can choose if that's a baby or just a clump of cells, depending on, right? And so the question is, what is that in there? And he's calling it a fetus, but fetus literally means baby. Right? Now, let's keep going. So this argument will always be at the same moral stalemate. But the question is, should the government force a highly controversial reading of the fetus's rights on the entire population and force unwanted pregnancies on women? Now, listen. I'm not with forcing unwanted pregnancies on anybody. In a question of rape, that's terrible. And if it was up to me, those rapists would be.
Yeah,
that's what I think should happen to those folks.
Hello.
Personally, I think that's it's a really barbaric act to do that against a woman and to impregnate her. That
Yeah, at least we're.
But that's not what we're talking about, right? We're that's not the conversation. Keep going. Replies again. And I say, hell no, and most Americans agree with me. Now, again, this is the bandwagon fallacy again.
Yeah.
So I had to help him out. Let's keep going. I appreciate you saying that if you held my view, it would be consistent to land at the pro-life position. Thank you. Not a troll. So when does a human have rights according to you? When they're viable? So you're okay for an all-out ban at 21 weeks? Again, this is where the pro-choice position is incoherent and falls apart on itself.
Hello.
Because no, he would not say that he wants an all-out ban at 21 weeks.
Yeah.
That's when a baby's viable. Babies have survived outside the womb at 21 weeks.
And this is how Steven Crowder, not that he's the greatest resource, always cooked on those college campuses, is because when you start engaging these folks with like, okay, well, let's figure out where you draw the line, then they either come to the conclusion that the baby is a life, or they sound nuts because they're like, oh, I'm down for 9 months.
Yeah.
And so it's like, just asking these questions and instead of being like, oh, it's a stalemate, a moral stalemate, it's like, well, let's figure it out then.
Let's dig deeper.
Yeah.
Right. So he says when they're viable, so I said, or when they go through the magical birth canal. Like, what is it? Is it the magical birth canal that gives somebody rights?
Yeah.
Is it 21 weeks? Is it viable? I say no. It's period. A human is a human.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, I believe the baby and the mother are both humans created by God. My basis for this, the word of God, Psalm 139, 13, 14, which talks about being knit together in the womb. And yes, if that's a human in there, which you know it is, I think it should be legally protected just like we are on the road or you are from someone harming you. And yes, if I have to choose a woman's right to self-actualization, to a career, aspirations versus the right of the baby to live, I'm going to go with the baby, the most vulnerable and voiceless with the least protections. Let's keep going. And then Joey Bond says, Joey, what are you doing? Are we going to discuss Pizzagate? Is he being serious right now? I said, Joey, no, stop, Joey. No. And then as I said, in terms of most Americans, yes, John, most Americans have gotten it wrong before about slavery, Jim Crow, civil rights, the war in Iraq, most recently, mass lockdowns.
Oops.
Which I think we all agree mass lockdowns were a bad idea in hindsight. Hopefully we all agree.
Yeah.
Specifically looking at what happened in California versus in Florida and how the deaths were actually the same. Specifically comparing America to Sweden and how it wasn't worse in Sweden. I think we all agree and land at the conclusion, hopefully, if you're reasonable, that mass lockdowns were probably a bad idea.
Sweden is the version of America that the conservatives love and hate, and the liberals love and hate.
Seriously.
they got the guns, but you have to serve in the military, and it's like highly regulated and whatever. Sweden,
And they got high taxes.
They got high taxes.
Yeah.
They have the lockdowns. Yeah, it's funny.
Let's keep going. I said that's a bandwagon fallacy.
My friend.
Because something is popular, my friend. Seatbelt laws were initially extremely unpopular, yet we all buckle up. I can provide other examples, but the question will come down to, when does life begin? Biologically and biblically, it begins at conception. It would add more credibility to the pro-choice position to just concede that point and not play word games. Let's keep going. But you don't believe a baby has moral worth equal to your own or the mother's. That's wild. That's really what the conversation comes down to.
Mike.
Shout out to Caucasian Mike, man. One time Caucasian Mike. Okay, so that weirdly made my day.
Yeah.
That weirdly made my day.
Yeah.
John Legend thinking he's cooking in my comment section.
Yeah.
Only to be corrected by actual doctors. Hey, in all seriousness though, John Legend, I grew up listening to your music, brother. I think you're brilliant. In that regard, I hope that this isn't a one-off situation of you just doom scrolling and you know, clapping back and thinking you're owning me.
Maybe
I'm not trying to own you. He doesn't follow me. But I would really love to have a conversation with you. And I love being challenged by people I disagree with. I think it's actually healthy to lean into conversations. And I'm not even saying doing it for the gram or doing it for the public. If you really want to have a conversation about this and really go deeper and exhaust this, or if you just want to hear some good debates, reach out to me, man. I'd love to talk to you about it. Hey, thank you so much for checking out the video. Comment down below and let me know what you think. And be sure to check out this video that YouTube is recommending just for you. Let me know if they nailed it. All right? I'll see you over there. Peace.